This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 120 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Maybe we're just not looking at the bigger picture. There is no future in video games.
I'm never going to get a Pirate Stephen Townsperson.
Yeah, Star Wars is a big hot button word nowadays.
Say tangential again.
Tangential.
But if you can't spell it or say it, it's not worth a hashtag.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen.
Welcome to Neverland.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow.
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers. Thank you so much for joining us on
Skywalking Through Neverland.
And welcome to all the Periscope watchers right now. Oh, I'm sorry. The Scope Walkers.
Scope walkers.
Scope Walkers, yes. Gotta write that one down.
Yes.
Welcome, Scope Walkers, who are watching right now. And welcome to all the new Skywalkers who are just joining us for the first time. And of course, welcome back to all the returning family of Skywalkers.
Excellent.
I think we've come to a conclusion that we all like returning.
I like that.
I like classic and vintage and retro.
Returning is great.
Well, we'll just say welcome to everyone to our family-friendly Star Wars Disney podcast that brings you entertaining stories from creators and fans. I am Richard, and now everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Star Wars and Disney fans. Now, thank you so much for supporting the show throughout all of social media. Now, you are officially part of the Skywalker family, and we love it when you tweet at us during the show. We are at Skywalking Pod. And if you do that, you're a tweet walker. And if you follow us on Periscope at Skywalking Pod, you're a scope walker.
Okay,
And if
I
you
got
listen,
that one down.
I know. And if you listen, you're a Skywalker. So be sure to subscribe on iTunes and now on the Google Play Music Store for your Android phone, which is amazing.
So hold on, I'm formulating something here.
Yes.
If they tweet at us, would they be an at walker? Is that legal to use two ats?
At Walker. I like that, but they're scope walkers. But you know what? Someone needs to hashtag that with the at symbol. That would be hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to know what that looks like. So Periscopers on it at Walker.
All right, now we are recording this from Long Beach, California on May the 17th, 2016. And hey, let's thank everyone for joining us on our last episode of Step in Time, remembering Disney's matinee movies, which we did last week instead of a Skywalking Through Neverland.
Right.
And we looked at the 1971 film that I had never seen before until now, Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah. So was that fun for you?
It was a lot of fun. I don't know how this flew under the radar as much as it did. Now, you having seen this a million times in your life, did you learn anything new now that we went back and took notes and really studied the film?
I think some of the backstory of it, because when you're a kid, you just watch on the surface of the film, and that's pretty much what you take in is the story. And Mr. Banks is now, Professor someone. Yeah.
Emilius Brown.
Professor Emilius Brown. That's right. So yeah, I don't think you, I don't remember. Well, yeah, just a lot of the behind the scenes things.
Well, for me, all of these terms and chants and names that I had known all made sense. Like, I knew what Portobello Road was because you had mentioned it when we were in England, but
right.
I never knew it was in this film.
Right.
And the chant, which goes like this.
Triguna, Macoides, Tricorum, Satis D.
I knew that, but I didn't know it belonged in this film here.
Or what it meant.
So there were all these pieces to this film floating around in my head, but now I can put it in the Bedknobs and Broomsticks closet.
And you know what also you can say now? Substitutionary. Oh no. Substitutionary locomotion. Can you say that?
Nope. Substitutionary locomotion.
You
See,
did it.
there you go.
You
I
did
stumbled
it.
like 8 or 9
Yay.
times through the recording with that one.
Aw.
So I'm glad we got to do that film, and thank you for everyone for tuning in and commenting as much as you did, because that was so much fun to do.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about what's coming up this week on Skywalking Through Neverland.
Yes, coming up, we talk through our grief about losing Disney Infinity. But what we did, we brought on some respected members of the Disney Infinity community, Will and Lem of the Inside Infinity podcast, and we were able to kind of talk through this horrible, horrible news. And you know what? I felt better after that. So everyone listen, we found some silver linings, and yeah.
We worked through our grief.
It's true. It's true. What else is on this episode?
Michael Corley of Voxbox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast tells us about his show that he covers. He covers the classic Marvel Star Wars comics like what we do.
Right.
But he does it where it's about a 15-minute show, and he does great reenactments.
Okay,
He-
it's like audio dramas almost.
He uses his listeners, and they will read a scene, and he'll insert it in his show. Very, very, very well done.
Okay. So we talk with him, right?
We talk with him about his show and his passions and how he got to the classic Marvel Star Wars comics.
That's right.
Which, by the way, we're going to be recording our next episode
Tonight
with Randy Martinez.
Yeah, so look for that next week, you guys.
Yeah, can't wait. I just love doing those.
Yeah. Now, we also have on this episode our shout-outs, our Skywalker of the Week, and things we want to share.
Now, someone on Periscope is asking, why is Infinity gone?
We go over that question.
Yeah, we go really in-depth to why this happened.
Yes. Make sure to subscribe to Skywalking Through Neverland and get episode 120 when it comes out.
Now, before we get into things we want to share, let's reveal the winner of the 2016 Star Wars Encyclopedia, the Character Encyclopedia from DK Publishing, who gave us a copy to give away to the Skywalker. So, big call out and shout out to DK Publishing. All right, drum roll, please.
And the winner is Tati Perez.
Yay!
Congratulations, Tati. You know what? When your name came up on the Rafflecopter, I remembered we met you at Star Wars Weekends, Darkside. So we met her at Epcot.
Star Wars Weekends. There is no more Star Wars
Not Star Wars
Weekends.
Weekends. You know what I meant.
Oh, I know.
Aww.
I'm just saying that because this would have been the week Star Wars Weekends would have started.
That's true. I
So,
know.
This is the Star Wars Half Marathon Challenge.
It's true.
That's where we met her.
The Dark Side Challenge. So, Tati, congratulations. And please email us in your address so we can send that book out to you. Email that to share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com.
Right, and we're going to have a review by Drew Kaplan on the 2016 Star Wars Character Encyclopedia just next week, as my phone goes off. So that'll be a whole lot of fun because this book is just so stuffed with information. And today online, did you see this? That the Rogue One encyclopedia, the visual encyclopedia leaked?
Yeah, I saw something leaked. I didn't look at it because I don't ever do that, but
Yeah, I'll look at some set photos maybe,
Right.
but this is like too much information. I don't want to know. So
Yeah.
we will not be looking at that.
that's true.
So no spoilers here.
Now, we also have another winner to reveal, though.
We had a secret tangential contest last
What?
week.
Tangential?
That's what I said. We had a
How about
secret
a secret-
tangential contest last week where we threw out the question, where did Sarah and I first hear the information that Disney had bought Star Wars? Anyone on Periscope know? We threw that out there and pretty much everyone said, Disneyland?
Yeah.
Thinking,
yeah, we
okay,
got-
let's
we
take a
got-
shot in the dark here.
Yeah, we got Main Street at Disneyland. We got like several people guessing that, which was awesome.
Yeah, someone
That would have been really cool.
Radio Free Endor just said internet. Yeah, nope, that wasn't it. It
on
was
Hoth.
on Hoth, right.
No.
Well, Mrs. Rep W, well, she did some homework.
she did some homework. She did some research.
She went back over some episodes. I think she went back to episode 1 of Skywalking Through Neverland, and it was right there. And we'd mentioned it time and time again. And Sarah, go ahead and tell everyone where we were
All right.
on October 30th, 2012.
So Mrs. Reb W tweeted, "Got it. You were at the Halloween headquarters in Cerritos, California, the mall." Sarah saw a tweet and yelled, "Richard!" And that is correct. So Mrs. Reb W, you're going to get a prize pack. See that, that box back there?
All those boxes are full of stuff to give away, and you'll be getting about 1/8 of one box.
That's right. So, and it did take a couple days until someone actually got it right. So, Mrs. Reb W, please email us once again your address, share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com.
And congratulations. And every once in a while, we'll be doing some of that secret tangential contests.
How about just secret giveaways?
I like tangential because they come from out of nowhere. It's a tangent. It's a tangent contest. It's got nothing to do with what we're doing, but they just come up.
The hashtag is easier if it's hashtag secret giveaway.
Well, if you're speaking in hashtag terms, then yes.
Yes.
All right. So with that, let's get into things
we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Was I supposed to join you for that?
Yeah, that was unsolicited. I thought you would just pick it up, and you did.
Okay.
I'll just cut out that little pause. Say tangential again.
Isn't it tangential?
Is it? All right. Secret contest it is. You guys win.
Okay. See, that's why I didn't want to say that
for the
word.
Bloopers. Oh, see, someone on Periscope just hashtagged it. Tangential giveaway.
But if you can't spell it or say it, it's not worth a hashtag.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Things I want to share. Can I share?
Yes, you
can. Or
can.
did you want to go first?
No, you go. You go ahead.
Okay. So I have two things. One is a short thing. So on the Disney Parks blog, which is what I look at almost every day because I don't want to miss any Disney news, they released a new thing, an Inside Disney Parks newscast. Now, this is going to be like a 7 to 8 minute YouTube video that comes out. Now, they didn't say it was weekly or anything like that, but basically it goes over the news of Disney parks, both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. So it's going to be an ongoing video series put out by Disney Parks blog. And when I watched it, to my surprise, well, it was hosted by two people. One was Elise. They didn't give her last name. And also, who did we see but Mark Daniel? Mark Daniel, who does all the...
He does all these Star Wars weekends and Star Wars celebration live shows.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that brings the personality and energy before the panels. And he's going to be on our show very, very shortly.
Yeah, because we saw that. We saw that Mark Daniel was doing this, and I know that he was doing a bunch of things with Disney Parks, like some live things, some live periscopes. So we reached out to him because we're like, oh, congratulations, Mark. So that was fabulous.
He's really fun, and he was on our show right before Star Wars Celebration Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let's take a tangential
break
and tell someone who just asked.
Yes.
Is Skywalking Through Neverland weekly? Yes, it is weekly. Yes, that was our tangential break to let someone know how they can listen to past episodes of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Yes.
Tangential.
Tangential.
All right, back to our show.
Okay. Where are we going? Okay.
I'm doing a drinking game to tangent. All right, I'm looking this up.
It's tangential, right?
Tangential.
Our bloopers are gonna be funny.
Oh, hold on. Okay, here's audio. Here's audio.
Okay, let it go.
Tangential.
See, I was right.
Tangential.
Tangential.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying all along. All right, let's move on.
I'm right. How often is the woman right? What?
Stupid internet. What? When is the internet ever right? I want a second hearing on this.
All right, how are we going to get back on track here?
All right, let's just... I can't wait to talk to Mark Daniel coming up because he's always so much fun, got a lot of great stories, great insight. He's going to Celebration Europe, so he must be just brimming with stories. And he doesn't know anything about Celebration Orlando yet.
Right, but we're super excited to talk to him, and he always brings the energy too. Yeah, so know that'll be a fun episode.
Foolish not to have him.
Yes.
All right, what else do you want to share this week?
Ooh, so I want to share that I
You got a new toy.
I did. I got a new toy. So I have an iPad. I have an iPad Air, the first generation. And what I do, I'm a graphic designer. So I've designed a lot of t-shirts, and recently I've gotten some more ideas for designs, but I'm always pencils on paper. Your palm gets on them, everything gets all messed up, and it's hard
It's
to...
so 2015.
Yes, and one of the main time-consuming things is bringing a pencil sketch into Illustrator to create your design and put it in the computer and make it awesome for your t-shirts. So what I discovered recently, and thanks to my cousin Jesse, he mentioned that you can just use your iPad and get a stylus for it that will respond. It has palm rejection and responds to your touch? So light or heavy touch. Anyway, so what I ended up getting, I did some research, and yes, I have an iPad Air. I did some research, and the Wacom Intuos Creative Stylus 2 will work with my iPad Air. So what I do is I just use these apps that are Adobe apps, and I can draw right on there. I can sketch on my iPad and see what I'm sketching, and then I click a button, send to Illustrator, and bam, it's in Illustrator, and it's vector art right away, and it's awesome. So I was super excited, and if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you're artistic, it was only $60 on Amazon. So just to let you know, this little plug. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I asked in our Facebook group, Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group, what kind of sketches to do. Because what I want to do is kind of do a sketch a day just to get used to using this pen and get really good at it so that I can make awesome designs for you guys. So I asked the group, and there was a ton of suggestions. So I'm really excited. One suggestion from Rick Peralta was the Rey silhouette. So her buns and her face in a silhouette, just like they do at Disneyland, Main Street.
Oh, at the little shops.
Yeah, the shops.
Okay.
Where they do a silhouette. So do that in the style of Disneyland, but with the Rey buns. So I'm definitely going to try that out. There was some suggestions of doing a Mary Poppins design, because I'm all Mary Poppins excited.
Well, we are about to design a new summertime themed shirt for Skywalking Through Neverland.
Yes.
So any ideas
and
for that?
And a Run Disney Star Wars shirt. So Rey and Finn running, perhaps. That was a suggestion. Or a BB-8 on a beach, you know, or honestly, a BB-8 and a, what do you call it, mashup? Olaf.
Olaf, right.
Olaf mashup. That would be super cute. So if you guys have any suggestions, go to our Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group and just suggest stuff. That would be awesome.
Yes, right now the favorite is BB-8 and Olaf on a beach to celebrate the oncoming summer months.
That's your favorite. But see, I need simple ones to start playing around with first.
Yeah, I had a lot of rejected ideas.
Yeah, he was like, let's do a Star Wars celebration with all the posters in it and all the
Leading
the
up
previous
to
posters.
2017. That would have been awesome. Going from Celebration 0 all the way to Celebration 17 with all the posters and artwork and
I
BB-8
need a
looking at
simple
him with
sketch, okay? All right, you know what? I'm going to show the Skywalkers what I did last night, because this is my second sketch ever, okay?
This is going to be worth the wait.
Hold on. Are you ready, Skywalkers? Are you ready? This is my picture.
I told you it was worth the wait.
I discovered the brush, the watercolor brush. It was really pretty.
Now go put it on our refrigerator and we'll move on.
I had to try all the colors, and I made a rainbow. Look, see, they like it. Amazing. It's a reading rainbow. Yay. So, okay.
So now let's move on to something I want to share, which is a sneak peek into the next episode of Skywalking Through Neverland. We're going to do a roundtable on Celebration Orlando.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I can't wait to do this because there's so many things to discuss. So at first we were thinking we weren't going to attend just because it's over that Easter holiday, which as it turns out no one is happy about.
I know. Oh, my goodness.
We were on the fence since that's a very busy time for our business.
It's also Passover. It's also tax season. It's terrible.
Who thought of this? I don't know.
Oh, well.
I talked to Mary Franklin. But we decided we got to go. We got to go. I can't not go since we had such a great time last year for Celebration Anaheim.
And you can bet we'll be having some meetups.
Now, Our roundtable discussion will go off in many different directions, but what we want to hear from you guys, what kind of aspects do you want us to cover on this roundtable where we're looking at the potential possibilities for Celebration Orlando, such as how can they make the fans more a part of the convention like they did with the podcast stage? Went over really, really well for everybody. And
That was awesome.
I love the fact that they're really rolling the fans into these experiences. What kind of Celebration Disney World crossovers will there be?
Yeah, will they have a special event? Like
Last Tour to Endor,
Oh, that was
which was so
amazing.
much fun. What kind of episode 8 sneak peeks do we want? So what do you guys think? What do you guys want to hear us discuss? Let us know.
Yes, please tweet at us at Skywalking Pod. And also, please join our Facebook group, Skywalking Through Neverland, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you just have to request to be joined. And usually I will, say, yes, you can join.
So we'll put this question out there too, but I just wanted to put it out there right now because it's something we really want to share. We're really excited about.
And we already had a response on Periscope.
Someone said Star Wars Easter egg hunt.
That's so cool.
Shouldn't it be Star Wars Hoojib hunt?
Oh.
The Hoojib egg hunt.
Maybe we should have like a Hoojib cosplay contingent.
You know what? We got to write these ideas down.
I know.
All right. I can definitely say that we're going to do a lot of stuff all centered around Hoojibs. So a lot of Hoojib themed activities to come. All right. So there'll be meetups there. And once again, we want to remind everyone about our next meetup, which will be happening on May 29th at the Rancho Cucamonga Library, where we'll be doing a podcast stage show, much like Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. And
Yeah.
it's going to be more focused on games and giveaways. So come join us once again, May 29th at the Rancho Cucamonga Library in San Bernardino, California. Now, if you go to their website, you'll see what the list of what the event schedule will be. I know Billy D. Williams will be in the morning reading a story, and there'll be stuff going on all day long after that.
Very
So,
excited to do that.
Come and join us. And so that will wrap up things
We want to share.
We just played the new Disney Infinity. You can bring Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, and Pixar together in the toy box.
This June, Disney Infinity will cease operations.
Disney Infinity was canceled. Very out of the blue.
I want to sort of get to a little bit of breaking news that just happened right before we came online. By now, you may have already heard the news that we have made the difficult decision to discontinue production of Disney Infinity.
Maybe you didn't hear, but just a couple days ago, Disney Infinity has been officially canceled. Well, what does that exactly mean?
This game quit me. Okay, Disney Interactive, who makes this fucking game, shut down our fucking studios, and they sold me these toys under the premise, you're gonna be able to play it with future games, okay? So there's not gonna be any more future fucking games.
May 10th, 2016 was a day that will live on in infamy for fans of Disney Infinity and the Toys to Life gaming industry. I was at my computer when I saw a tweet from @Infinity Inquirer stating, "Breaking! News is just coming in, but Disney has shut down their game publishing division. Disney Infinity is no more." I was like, what? Wait, what? What? Wait, what just happened? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, when I said, Sarah, what are you talking about? The way you read that was, I've never heard you so anguished.
Well, I didn't know what it meant. I was like, I didn't know what this meant. I wanted more information. But the next tweet that came in from Infinity Inquirer said, "This is not a joke. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not that mean." And I was like, okay, well, that answers one question. So I was kind of, I was nervous and I was watching Twitter and I was kind of looking on Facebook. I was like, what's going on? Well, a few minutes later, we got official word via a Disney Interactive blog post from the senior vice president of Disney Interactive, John Blackburn. And that's...
Since he's got a male voice, let me read this, okay?
Oh, okay. This is the official news here.
By now, you may have heard the news that we have made the difficult decision to discontinue production of Disney Infinity. From the beginning, Disney Infinity was built for you, our fans, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you for not just your support over the years, but for creating a community that has made Disney Infinity more than just a game. Our goal for Disney Infinity was to bring the best of Disney storytelling to life in homes around the world. And with your support, we accomplished that. We hope you had as much fun playing the game as we did making it.
So then I wondered what was next. I mean, when was Disney Infinity officially shutting down? Well, the blog post continues.
We have 2 final retail releases coming, including 3 characters from Alice Through the Looking Glass later this month, and the Finding Dory playset launching in June. I want to thank you once again for making Disney Infinity a part of your lives and for adding to the Disney legacy by being a part of this community.
Now, these words confirmed my fears, and I got really sad because they reminded me that with the loss of Disney Infinity, we aren't just losing a really fun game, we're losing a thriving community of creative people. Toy box artists, website owners, YouTubers, and podcasters, they all make up this huge community that's just been built up around this game. So we reached out to 2 important Disney Infinity community members to shed some light on what happened. The Inside Infinity podcast. It's my favorite podcast centered around Disney Infinity.
Now, let's welcome the hosts of the Inside Infinity podcast, Will Kelly and Lem Filia. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it was things were going well until the news broke.
Until May 10th. Stupid May 10th.
Yeah. Just a few days ago. Hello, everyone. I just waved at the camera as if you all could see me. So
That's
I think
Will
I know how to
speaking.
do this by now.
Yeah.
So that speaking is Will. Hey, Will.
Hi, guys. How are you doing tonight? Or today?
Yes.
Our days are in a dark tailspin because now Sarah just sits in front of the TV going, "What happened? What happened?" Things were going so well. What happened?
I look at my Zootopia figures and go, oh.
You're not alone in that fact. Much of the community is feeling very much the same, and it's just kind of lost. And so that's why it's cool that you're doing the show, because it's kind of reinforcing that the community's not going anywhere, at least not for the short term. And so I think it's good for all of us to band together and remind ourselves that we're still here, and your friends are still there, and the game's still there. And it's just there's a few more unknowns though.
Yeah, plus we can discover some answers to all this.
Yeah.
But you know what? Before we get into all that, let's tell listeners who might not be familiar with Disney Infinity TV about your show and about yourselves. Will, do you want to take up this one?
Sure. So Lim and I are part of Disney Infinity TV, a website that's just all things Disney Infinity, primarily a Disney Infinity podcast. Lim is the person who is manning the social media. So a lot of times when you're following our stuff and you're seeing the Instagram posts and the Twitter posts, a lot of times that is him. And obviously he's on the show quite often as well. And so we're a team. And so there's a few of us, and Lim and I are here to talk. We do a weekly podcast about all things Disney Infinity, as well as, Let's Plays. Lim does a lot of streaming, and so just a lot of Disney Infinity action, both audio and video.
All right, now, Lem, in 600 words or less, tell us about your Disney fandom.
Well, I've been a Disney fan from movies, quite a bit of the movies. I'm a comic book collector, so I have a few Disney-based comics, and when they got Marvel, I was very excited about that because Disney does quite well with whatever they touch. And then I started with Disney Infinity, met Will and Lloyd and Jason and Logan, and at that point Ben, and just grew from there to not just a fandom but a family of people that love this game, love what it does for our community. And I think I went over 600 words.
That's okay. That's why we edit.
No.
And now, Will, what is your fandom like? I know Lem said he's more into the Marvel comics. How about yourself?
So the whole reason that Inside Infinity, the podcast started, is because it combined a few of my passions. One, I've always wanted to do a podcast, and it was kind of a foot in the door there. But primarily, the reason I felt that it was a good topic and a good place for me to start my podcasting career is that it combined two of my absolute favorite things. It combined video games, which I'm an avid gamer, but also another huge love of mine is Disney. And I love all things Disney, the movies, the theme parks, the Disney Afternoon from back in the day, pretty much everything Disney. And this was kind of the marriage of two of my loves. And I was like, you know what, that was the great time to talk about those things and get a little bit more involved with a different type of community out there.
So the community, of course, is not going anywhere. We're still people. We're still here. We're all still playing the game. But on May 10th, where were you guys when you heard the news, and what was your immediate reaction? Will, do you want to start with you?
Sure. So Lim, Lloyd, and I, we are in a lot of people out there in a group messaging, and Lloyd sent Lim and I a tweet or a text that someone tweeted him, and we're all kind of like, we see stuff all the time. I'm sure you do too, and we're like, I don't know what this means. I'm not going to take it too seriously until we start to see more, and then the floodgates open. We were all just kind of in shock, like much of the community. And then at that point, it was a lot of just kind of determining the facts and what actually was happening, and then try to deduce a little bit of the why, which I still think in many ways is a big question mark. So,
Lem, when you heard the news, did you take this with a grain of salt too, or did you think, oh, this could be real?
No, when I saw it, I didn't want it to be real.
Right.
That's called denial.
Yeah. And there's someone that put out Chris from Disneyholics. He actually put out a great Stages of Grief with Disney Infinity. And it was fantastic. And I was in denial for a long time. Matter of fact, just the other day, I was like, wait a second, we're not getting this. Hold on. Wait a second. This isn't happening. Oh my gosh. What about these people? And it just blew my mind. But day one, I want to say I was numb, really.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And we put out the news on our Facebook page and in our Facebook group. And Joey Pittman, one of our listeners, we had several respond, and he wrote, "I'm in complete shock. Everything seemed like it was going great, especially after when they announced their new YouTube channel for news and everything. I've looked everywhere, and there is no answer as to why. I've really enjoyed the game since it first came out, and the potential future versions we were going to have. A truly sad day." So I think that kind of encompasses what we all felt. Now, maybe we can help, or maybe you guys can shed some light on Joey's question as to why. I heard something like Disney is exiting the self-publishing console games businesses altogether. Doing so has resulted in a $147 million charge in the Walt Disney Company's second quarter earnings. Now, I have no idea what that means. Do you guys have any idea?
Do you guys speak stock or money?
Yeah.
Well, I actually had to ask Will and Lloyd about that. Why is there $147 million that are gone?
Yeah.
I question when $20 is missing from my
I don't. I just look to Sarah.
Hey.
I actually had to do the same. The wording was just so vague. Luckily for us, Lloyd knew the answer, and basically what it comes down to is that is what exiting that self-publishing is costing Disney. It's costing them that in the form of existing stock, as well as speculation is the majority of that amount is actually going towards severance packages for the employees.
Okay.
So it's basically how much it's going to cost for them to leave the game, no pun intended, and which is just a mind-boggling thing to me, because I'm like, it surely you would make that much money in the next year, one would think, with the game being the most successful in the Toys to Life genre. So that's what that means essentially, is it's costing them to stop doing the game.
No, is it me, or is it something just not adding up here?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, quarter four, in the Toys to Life genre, Disney had the highest gross.
Yeah, and so that's, I think, the thing that we're all fans, and so we see the news, we see the world a little bit differently. We have to separate our passion from the reality. But in this situation, all signs pointed to yes. It like you just said, the most successful in the genre, and so it's making them money, and so that's why people are like, well, if it's doing so well and it's making Disney money, why are they choosing to end it? And what it boils down to is that it's not making them enough money, and I still don't get that, but that's, I guess it's just a business decision from them,
right?
Yeah, I mean, it says here 147 million in Disney's second quarter. That's just the second quarter.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Put out a new Star Wars set, and you'll get that back.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on.
Which weren't they planning on that as well?
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah. So we're getting the Finding Dory playset, which is good because I really was excited to play in water. But and then the Alice in Wonderland, but we're not getting the Rogue One because I guess it wasn't far enough along in production, unfortunately. I'm so sad. So I think maybe partly what this boils down to is just keeping stock of these figures in all the stores. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of money to do that.
Yeah, I read, I'm sure you and Lynn, we've talked about this a lot. I've read quite a few articles that have surfaced since the news broke. And with 1.0, a big mistake they made is not having enough stock. And so with the introduction of both Marvel and Star Wars for 2 and 3, that was one thing they said they were not going to do. It kind of backfired on them because now they have way too much stock. An example that was actually quoted in one of the articles was Hulk. They expected Hulk to be one of the best-selling figures, and so what they did is they manufactured 2 million of those figures, and they only sold about 1 million of those figures. Yeah.
Oh.
So is 1 million, is that still a good number of figures to have been sold?
Well, I look at it this way, and I speak in analogy quite a bit. You know, I love pie. I love pie. I love cake. If I made
now you're speaking Richard's language.
If I made 3 cakes, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have these 3 cakes, and I'm going to eat them in this setting. But if it goes bad, I've wasted all the ingredients for the cake. I only ate 1 cake.
Right.
I'm wasting these 2 beautiful cakes.
That makes sense. Yeah, because they invested to make 2 million, so that money is already invested.
Right.
And if they didn't sell, then they didn't make back a certain amount of money.
Was there a decision or something that was done with the last upgrade? What was it, 3.0?
Like 2.0? Yeah.
Was there something that was done there that maybe they lost some fans, some buyers that maybe wouldn't have come back for a 3.5 or a 4.0 series?
That's a great question. I want to say no, though. No to your question. I would actually say that possibly that might have happened for 2.0 because in many respects 2.0 in comparison to 1 and 3 was a disappointment. They only came out with 3 play sets, and that was one of their big criticisms. The gameplay itself was rather redundant, and they kind of fixed all of that with 3.0. And not only that, but throw on top of, don't shoot me, Lim, for saying this, but arguably a more popular IP in the form of Star Wars.
It's true.
And
it's true.
I feel like the game actually sold a lot more and a lot better with 3.0. And I, they didn't, in that article, they didn't mention anything about stock of 3.0, but we do know that there's some extraneous stock out there on shelves now, even for 3.0. So who knows if that affected it at all.
I frequent the gaming stores in my area, and I give my 2 cents on Toys to Life games when parents are looking confused. I like to say they have question marks floating over their heads. And so I say, well, some strange guys talking to them and their kids, and then after they realize I know what I'm talking about, they're like, oh, okay. But when we were talking,
that's funny.
We were talking about 3.0. I saw a lot more excitement from not just the kids, but the parents. In 2.0, a lot of the kids were excited. Oh man, I could be Iron Man. Oh, I can, I can be Spider-Man. And then when I would, they were picking up 2.0 right before 3.0 surfaced. And I said, okay, you can pick this up now, but do you know what's coming for 3.0? No, I didn't even know there was a 3.0. Star Wars and Dad's eyes were big. We'll wait.
Yeah.
Were you guys at D23 Expo last year?
I was the only member. No, I myself and Logan were the only two members of the team that went.
I could not believe the excitement and the roar of the crowd when they started talking about Disney Infinity. So when this news broke, it's like, wait, is today April 1st?
Yeah, and not to mention the lines for free figures at, well, of course they're free.
Yeah.
At the booth.
Just the excitement that goes through a new Disney Infinity upgrade or character. It's just incredible. Now, do you think that this news is going to hurt any new characters coming out, like the Finding Dory characters?
Hurt, like in terms of people buying it?
Yeah. Now that people know that this is no longer going to be something that will continue, are they going to jump ship and go to another game?
What do you think, Lim?
I think that the completionists out there are going to be all over it. Day one, they will have all 5 figures. Casual user is not going to take advantage of it.
Okay. So on our Facebook page, we had, several Skywalkers chime in to say what they thought of the game. And Glenn Stein, I think, is a bit more pragmatic than some of us. And he said that I think they did a lot of things wrong and took some risks that didn't pan out in Disney Infinity 3.0. The big problem was how they rolled out version 3. If you were a Star Wars fan or an Inside Out fan, you bought the game when it came out. Aside from the Force Awakens playset and figures, there was nothing officially announced about what else would be coming out for months. But I think the real problem was never creating a playset for Frozen, other princesses, or for Disney 2.0 figures and the non-Inside Out Disney 3.0 figures. So I guess he had some issues. Now, that would have been interesting to have like a Frozen playset.
Now that raises a good question. What do you guys think about this? Is Disney really aiming Disney Infinity to boys? Is this more of a boy toy?
That's a great question, and it's something that's been discussed for years now with the game. Early on, especially, there was some criticism about. Well, actually, that is not true. I'm sitting here looking at my shelf of 1.0 characters, and early on, before Frozen and before Rapunzel or Tangled, there was not enough female characters, and I think that is something that they've diligently tried to address over the years, and everything from Marvel superheroes to their Disney originals with Merida and Tinkerbell and Maleficent. Some of their most popular characters, especially for 2.0, were female characters. And I feel like that much of maybe the play sets, I don't know, might be geared in some respects more towards boys, but then we do get the Inside Out set as a little more universal. And then you throw in the completely open-ended toy box that, is just as appealing to all. So good question. I don't really know the answer. I know it's something that they've tried to address over the years. So
I would actually want to chime in here. I would say they definitely tried to target both females and males, because in their play sets, like let's take the Star Wars play set or the 3.0. What is it?
Force Awakens?
Yeah, well, not the so the Force Awakens playset, you have Rey and you had Finn.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the 3.0 playset, you had Anakin Skywalker and you had Ahsoka. So you have like the male and the female characters. And I've even heard John Vignacchi, who was the VP of Disney Infinity, say on a podcast. Now, has he been on your podcast before?
He has, a couple times.
So I might have even heard him say on your podcast that they actually were trying to gear those playsets for male and female, and that female, like little girls, will tend to gravitate toward female characters, but little boys will gravitate toward any character they feel is kick-ass, which usually involves being the girl. Like Ahsoka is amazing.
Ahsoka. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, like John Vignacchi himself said that they tried like that 50%. They try to ride that line.
Then do you guys think that's why they didn't maybe do Sleeping Beauty or a Snow White because they can't just kick some serious butt?
That's a valid point. I never thought of it that way. You just Brady Bunched me. I never thought of it that way. But yeah, that's a very valid point. I mean, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty had to be saved. Rapunzel kicked some butt in Tangled, man. I mean, Anna and Elsa, freaking Snow Queen, awesome.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm guessing Aurora wouldn't be too fun because she'd just be sleeping through the whole game.
But I would love to see Little Mermaid. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Ariel would be so much fun.
I had that realization literally today. My heart broke when I was thinking about the Finding Dory playset and that we're finally getting water, which would mean that we would have to get an Ariel figure, right?
Or Atlantis.
Or Atlantis, yeah. Well, okay, so let's speak about this. To pound the nail in the coffin, there was an article by Patrick Klepek over on Kotaku, and he gave us an idea of just what we would have gotten had Disney Infinity continued.
Why go there?
Well, okay, I want to go over some of these so we can break our hearts a little more and ask you what would be like your favorite things. So, of course, Ninja Theory, they were working on the Rogue One playset to release this fall.
Ouch.
And there was going to be a Moana playset as well. And get this, 12-inch Disney Infinity figures were coming.
Would those work with the game? Would there be a new
Apparently, they were planning on doing something like in-game that would be a little different from the smaller figures. Now, this is all, I don't know how much like we can put on this as being just theories or conjecture, you know,
Right.
but also they were going to have, the 12-inch figures were going to be like Buzz Lightyear, Elsa, Hulkbuster, Jack Skellington, Darth Vader. I know. And they would, so they would be like $45 and have acted differently in game, lit up, have more detail. Like, how cool. And then 2017 would have been Disney Infinity 4.0. And they would have had, taking from the movies that were coming out. So Cars 3, Star Wars 8.
Mhm.
Yeah. Episode 8. Pirates of the Caribbean.
No loss.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor Ragnarok. Oh, I know. I'm so sad. So, and this would be my favorite thing. I'll just call it right now. There would finally be a Toy Box story mode where you could play an entire story with any character you'd wish. So let's put Rapunzel in Jakku. Or let's put Tinkerbell with a lightsaber. Mash up. Disney Star Wars is all I want.
Gosh. If I could take Iron Man and lay siege to Maleficent's castle to save to save Sleeping Beauty because Thanos was holding her there.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
And then I can have Anakin be my, be my backup. Come on. That would have been freaking sweet.
Absolutely.
Well, there's a comic book series there. That'd be great.
What about you, Will?
Sadly, it's the same thing. Just, something we've wanted from the very beginning is we have these toys. Let us play with them the way we want to play with them, and the fact that they're toys, it makes perfect sense for them to be interacting with each other. And I think that from a gameplay perspective, that's a great thing. But what that plan also says is that kind of the stakeholders of those IPs are finally on board. They're finally getting it, that that's not Thor you're playing with. It's not Maleficent. It is a toy version of those characters, and a toy version can do whatever it wants, because we're all just kids in the middle of their bedroom floor playing with toys.
Wait a minute, that wasn't the real Thor that I was playing with?
That'll be later on when I go to sleep. Now, for me, the game takes a back seat to the characters. I love the sculpts.
The figures? Yeah.
They're just so well done. And whenever Sarah says, "Can I get a new one?" That looks great. Let's get it. Fine. Now, was there one character that was never produced that you were looking forward to getting until now?
You
Okay.
go first, because this is hard.
This is super easy for me because I know that it's nigh impossible unless other studios start playing nice with the Marvel studios. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. It'll never happen. And now it will really never happen if I could get Deadpool.
Never gonna happen.
I know. It's never gonna happen, and then never gonna happen. So I had to say it because anytime we talk about Disney Infinity, I have to bring up Deadpool. But even slightly more of a chance, but still unlikely. Any X-Men figure, I don't care. Wolverine, he was in Ultimate Spider-Man. All right,
yeah.
Come on. Deadpool honestly was in Ultimate Spider-Man, but I'll take it. Wolverine, I get it. Any of the X-Men, but if I have to go, I'm never going to get a Thanos. I'm never going to get a Daredevil.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, that's a good list.
I'm never going to get a Pirate Stephen Townsperson.
Okay, well, how about you? What character will you never get now?
So I'm really lucky because my all-time favorite character's in the game, and that is Jack Skellington. He's been there from the beginning, so I gotta be appreciative of that. But outside of that, I want to round out the original crew, and so I think I'd want Goofy in there. And I feel like Goofy was an inevitability, but it's just the time's not gonna allow it, sadly. So
wow, I just assumed there'd be a Goofy.
No, their Donald Duck came out in 3.0, right?
Donald came out in 2.
Okay.
A new version of Mickey and Minnie came out in 3, though.
Right.
So. Wow.
And then for me, can I go into my characters? Yeah. Well, I know we're talking.
Don't say Thor.
We have Thor.
Yes,
and we have 2 Captain
right.
Americas.
Then don't say Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Why not?
Not that kind of a show, that's why. It's a family show.
All right. Well, okay, so as we were speaking about before, Ariel. I would love to flip my fins around the toy box with Ariel. And then my all-time, once Rey at the end of The Force Awakens met with Luke, all I want is Rey with a lightsaber and force powers too in the game. I think that would be amazing. And unfortunately, the Rey we have now does not have force powers, and I was hoping for an update or something, but no. Yes.
Well, for me, whenever I play Disney Infinity, I always get hungry. So I would want a figure of the guy that sells turkey legs at Disneyland. And his power is that he gives out turkey legs.
Nice. As many as you want?
I like the way you think.
It's all the necessity.
Well done.
Yes. Now, I know we're all kind of sad about the game itself. I mean, we also have to remember that there was Disney Infinity and Avalanche Software employees who kind of all were let go all at once. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel very bad for them.
Well, now I feel bad about complaining about all this.
Well, I just hope that they find good places to be, good homes. Have you guys heard anything through the grapevine about where, people will land, like John Vignacchi or Allison Petrick?
I think he'll land on his feet.
Yeah, I think. I've talked to some of our friends over there at Avalanche, and I think their right now primary thing is just to kind of keep themselves feeling pretty positive and looking for whatever is next. I don't know about Lynn, but I personally haven't heard any of the next steps for anyone. But they're all super talented people, and so I know they're gonna, like you said, land on their feet and good things to come. Just unfortunately, not in this game.
Yeah, I know that there are some people that have feelers out there. I'm not sure about interviews or anything like that, but they have feelers out and they have some prospects. So I know that there are some studios that were like, "Hey, by the way, we're hiring. Put out your resume."
That's right. There was some tweets, right? Even.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really great. Big studios heard and we're like, "Hey guys, give me your resumes. We're hiring."
It's a sad thing to say, but it's a rather common thing in the gaming industry is for studios to close down. And so a lot of times, I haven't heard if Disney's doing this, but just kind of judging the type of company it is. I hope they do this. Is a lot of times outgoing devs will hold kind of career fairs and bring in a whole bunch of new developers and companies for their employees to talk with and potentially create some prospects. So hopefully Disney does that for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, Disney is really good at taking something away, but then giving something right back, and they prove that time and time again with Star Wars. Will they be replacing this with something else?
My understanding is that they are out of producing the games themselves. But who's to say that a year from now they're like, you know what, that was a mistake. Let's start doing it again.
Yeah, or licensing out maybe their IPs. Which is a new word I learned today, which means intellectual property.
Yes, it does.
So licensing out their IPs to other gaming, businesses, or getting some games that maybe were canceled when Disney took over the gaming publishing.
Yeah, and that's exactly the model they're going with. It's just it's cheaper and it's less risky for them, and I think that's the biggest. That's the reason they're shutting down Infinity and going this way. But there's a lot of, I don't know if the two of you have played Battlefront. Lim loves that game, and that's Star Wars handed off to a very capable developer. So I feel like if you are, even though it's super sad news, if you're a Disney Star Wars gamer, there's still going to be some amazing content out there. There's two things untitled that have been announced, Star Wars specifically, and they are two of my all-time favorite game creators and people behind some of my all-time favorite games, and so I cannot wait for that. So I think you were talking about Silver Linings earlier. This might be one where there's certain types of gameplay are going to be handed off to some studios that are kind of experts in that area. So we're going to get some compelling content.
Is there anything more you can tell us about that?
So I don't know if you're familiar with two really popular series on the Sony PlayStation. One is called Uncharted, which is a third-person action adventure. Think Indiana Jones, since we're talking Lucas here. That's a game type, and they're making a Star Wars game with the writers of that game as well as some of the game designers. And that's my second favorite all-time series, and so I like transplanting that gameplay into an adventure style game in the Star Wars universe. I don't know if they've announced what characters or if they're going to be new, original characters that they're going to be kind of focusing on, but that's one that has me super excited, as well as another one from a similar type of game that's more action oriented. So, but story driven games, which is super cool for the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there are some good things to look. There's always stuff to look forward to, I guess. Yeah. It just seems like a really sad time right now, but anything more silver lining we can think of here?
Well, maybe we're just not looking at the bigger picture. Okay. There is no future in video games.
Bite your tongue.
They're so 2016.
I will not be able to sleep tonight. Thank you very much.
Now, how does that other game that we heard about at Disney D23 Expo, how does that game fare into all this?
Are you talking about Kingdom Hearts?
Kingdom Hearts. I was going to say Random Hearts, but we're not talking about Harrison Ford movies. So, yeah, you know what we're all talking about,
Kingdom
okay?
Hearts.
All right, stop laughing at me.
laughing with you.
So how does that random? How does Kingdom Hearts?
Yes.
How does Kingdom Hearts?
Castle. It's a kingdom.
How does that fit into all of this?
It's not being affected whatsoever. The only exception to that is there's rumors of some Kingdom Heart content coming in 4.0, which obviously that's not going to happen. But that's an example of a licensed out game, and this is the third version. Well, the third proper version of that game. There's been, I think, like
2.5, 2.8.
Yeah, there's been a lot of actual different versions of the game, but it's not being affected at all. And I think any of the outside studios that have been working on Disney stuff, like the Star Wars games I was just referring to, they're not being affected by this whatsoever. Some of those partner studios, you mentioned Ninja Theory, they're responsible for the combat. Studio Gobo, they did the Pirates Caribbean, as well as the Force Awakens, not Force Awakens. The original trilogy ones.
The Rise of the Empire.
Yes.
Rise Against the Empire.
Right. The
So
long
those
named
are-
ones.
They're their own studios. They're being affected by the deal because they're not going to be working on Infinity anymore. But Disney doesn't have any sort of control over them, so they're not kind of being shut down.
I honestly have never played a Kingdom Hearts other than my new mobile version, which I do love. But I know there's a huge fandom. I mean, the fandom for that it encompasses the Final Fantasy and the Disney crew. And if you have Disney fandom is humongous, and Square Enix has a crazy fandom for Final Fantasy. So, boy, I know that I am going to be all over this game.
Well, I know when we were at the D23 Expo at the Disney Interactive panel, remember the Kingdom Hearts, the main guy came out and he had his translator and everyone went like nuts. And we're going, what's going on? We had no idea, we've never played that either. So it was really funny.
Yeah, that was just huge.
I know, it was. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, and the special giveaway there was an Infinity Kingdom Hearts item, and so people went even more crazy when that mashup happened.
Yeah, that disc.
Yeah. So with all the fans just going ballistic, has John Vignacchi or anyone else from the company, have they spoken out? Have they addressed any issues or concerns, or just to say, hey, here's a follow up to all this?
Not at that. It's been pretty quiet, especially at the top. I think I know Lim's had some personal conversations, so have I. But I've seen it kind of go the opposite direction, where fans have reached out to community leaders, and I don't mean like people who do podcasts and stuff like that, but people that work at the game that have been traditionally pretty outspoken and interactive with the community. And a lot of that conversation has just revolved around appreciation and thanks. And so there hasn't been much talk about any official news. And I think that's still a huge frustration for a lot of people. We don't know. There's still so many questions left unanswered. But I think what's more important for kind of, not to sound cheesy, but for the healing and for the recognition of, we're fans and it's affecting us this deeply, but it's actually people losing their jobs and affecting their actual livelihoods. I think it's been good kind of expressing that appreciation and saying, hey, you know what, we're here for you if there's anything we could do. And I think that's kind of been good for everyone.
So I think really the bottom line is it's just a stockholder money decision, and that's just what happens when a product doesn't make as much money as they thought they could, and it's just costing them more to produce and then they're getting back. So I think that's really all the answer there is.
Right. But one good thing
business.
One good thing about it is this community that's grown up around this game, the Disney Infinity community. It sounds like, we are all still here. And we can still all play the game, which is great.
Yes, absolutely.
And play it with each other and talk about it. And, do you guys have any idea, where do you think this will morph into, perhaps? I mean, we've all made friends, I guess.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I've said, and I spoke on behalf of Disney Infinity TV when people were asking, are we, what's going on with the podcast? What's going on? I quoted one of my favorite songs. It's called "Till the Day I Die," and I said, "Till the wheels fall off and the spotlights fade, we're making content."
Nice.
Until I can't put a disc in my console and make a music video, or or do screenshots, because I love screenshots, or I can't take my figures and put them in my little studio. If I can't take that picture, that's when we're done.
Nice.
Sarah, I think you're the same way. I think toward the end you had more fun taking screenshots and posting them online.
Oh my gosh!
And taking pictures.
When I discovered the lightsaber in my little tool pack, I put Tinkerbell right on my base. I was like, "It's Jedi Tink," and I took all these pictures. It was amazing.
Yes.
Made for you.
Yes, so I can still do that. And so I'm excited. So I'm glad to know that you guys you'll be still putting out your podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. As long as there's people listening, we'll be talking.
Awesome.
And kind of to piggyback off of Lim, we don't know what's going to happen with the servers. We don't know how much longer we're going to be able to share content. But that doesn't mean that the game is no longer working. So we have 2 more playsets coming out. We have Finding Dory and we have Alice coming out. That's the next wave. And so there's still fun to be had, and there's still ways at which you can interact with your friends and play multiplayer together. And so the game is not going anywhere today. So enjoy it. You have all these amazing figures, and just continue to have fun with it as long as we can.
You know what? I'm still playing with my Atari 2600, so never say never.
Attaboy.
Amen to that.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on tonight. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Lim, you're our social media guy. Why don't you take it away?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at Disney Infinity, and on Instagram as DisneyInfinity.tv. We have our Facebook group and then a Facebook page as well. Just look up Disney Infinity TV. Find us there. Also, Disney Infinity DITV.co.
DITV.co. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's our URL.
All right. Well, we're so excited to know that you guys are still going to be producing, and I'll keep listening, I know, and of course, chatting with you on social media.
Yeah, keep the dream alive, guys. It's all up to you. The ball's in your court.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. We'll do what we can, and thanks for having us on tonight. This has been great.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, guys.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout-out. Who was photobombed? Shout-out. Who was shared a post? Shout-out.
This first shout-out comes from Jennifer Crimebrook. Now, she was listening to our show while constructing her Kylo Ren lightsaber, and she writes, "By the way, I was listening to Skywalking Through Neverland while doing this and laughing all the way. After throwing a tiny Kylo temper tantrum because I got red paint on my finger."
Nice. That was funny. Yeah, she posted this picture in our Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group. So I like that.
I love the fact that she was laughing all the way through, because that's what we want to do. We want to be the entertaining Star Wars Disney podcast. Hey, let's put that in there in our opening. I love the fact that it's entertaining. People will always say it's entertaining.
That's true.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if we're making you laugh, then we're doing our job.
Absolutely. All right, this next shout out goes to a podcast we were on. Richard and I were on the Disney Dream Girls podcast number 107. Michelle asked us to be on to talk about Walt Disney World versus Disneyland and our Run Disney experience. So we had a fun discussion with her. Oh, Richard.
It was fun because she speaks in a fun English accent.
It's true. It's true. Aw.
If the Beatles were English, they would sound like Michelle.
Now, on Twitter, we get lots of shout-outs on Twitter at Skywalking Pod. Matt Clifton was talking about our latest episode of Skywalking Through Neverland 119, and he wrote, "Can't help but bob my head and snap my fingers to Jabba Flow during the shout-outs. Not a bad thing." Aww.
Thank you to Matt Clifton, one of the strongest Skywalkers we have out there.
Oh.
I say that because when we did our Outlaw podcast, he was lifting these tables and putting them all in order. It's like the Hulk Clifton.
Yes. Aw. And of course, we just put out an episode of Step in Time where we mentioned Ray Harryhausen, who I had no idea who that was. So several Skywalkers chimed in about homages and movies. Matt Clifton, once again, he showed us the Monsters, Inc. homage. Brian Sims tweeted at me and pointed me in the direction of an article on StarWars.com all about Ray Harryhausen and his work.
For those of you who don't know who he is the grandfather of stop motion animation.
So even if you hadn't said that, our Skywalkers would have set us straight.
Exactly. Yeah, he goes all the way back to the early days with Jason and the Argonauts and the Sinbad movies, and his last film that he had worked on was Clash of the Titans back in 1981.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see homages to Ray Harryhausen in Monsters, Inc., and we also see a great one in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan is fighting the Acklay.
Wow.
I'm surprised they didn't name that creature Harryhausen. So thanks to everyone who knew what I was talking about.
That's very true, yes.
Do you know what I want to talk about next?
What?
The Skywalker of the Week. And here she is.
Jenna Whitebrock, Jenna Whitebrock, Jenna Whitebrock.
Congratulations, Jenna Whitebrock. Oh, we were so excited because your mom posted a picture of you in our Skywalking Facebook group when you heard your name called out or your name mentioned on our episode, what was that, 119. So, yeah, you just looked so cute, and we had to make you Skywalker of the Week.
It was that smile that put you over the edge.
It's true. Dude, it made me cry.
Once again, we're here to entertain and make everyone happy.
I know.
And judging by that smile, we did just that, and since you brought a tear to our eye, you get the Skywalker of the Week.
Now, if you Skywalkers want to be the Skywalker of the Week and you are not yet, please tweet out the show, share our show on any form of social media, and also just tweet at us and have a conversation. We love that. You can also, if you meet us in the parks or anywhere or at one of our meetups, you might be eligible to be the Skywalker of the Week. And these jingles every week are tirelessly composed by Rob Dellinger,
the John Williams of podcasting.
Rancho Obi-Wan is home to the world's largest Star Wars memorabilia collection, as recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records. Become a member of Rancho Obi-Wan right now to get exclusive access to tours of Rancho Obi-Wan hosted by Steve Sansweet, invites to special events, and more. Plus, you can also make a difference and help Rancho Obi-Wan grow with a simple donation of $1 or higher. Visit ranchoobi-wan.org now to get the latest news, become a member, or make a donation. ranchoobi-wan.org.
I am Michael Corley with VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast, and I am skywalking through Neverland.
You're the busiest bee in the fan community. You get around the galaxy enthusiastically. You're 0.5 past Lightspeed.
Next up on 0.5 Past Lightspeed, we are talking to Michael Corley, a man who also shares the same love for the classic Star Wars Marvel comics.
He's someone that can drop names like Crimson Jack, Jackson, Aduba 3, or Hoojibs into a conversation effortlessly.
Like us, Michael does a podcast where he dramatically retells the story from each issue of the classic series. Now, from the VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast, here is Michael Corley. Hey, Michael!
Hello, Sarah. Hello, Richard. It's nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, someone who shares the love of the vintage Marvel Star Wars comics.
Yeah.
They are the best.
We thought we were alone. Now, you know what? Tell us about your fandom and your VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast.
Yes, I have a completely normal fandom, as many people my age that I saw the original trilogy, fell in love, had all the toys, all of that. But I also had a whole bunch of the comics. And I had those, and I had X-Men comics. And when I got older, I decided to make a podcast telling the story of the X-Men comics, which was called Vox in a Box. And when I would do searches for that, I would randomly find these weird sub-searches for Vox Box. And it turned out to be in the expanded universe, it was a translation device for the Gamorreans, those lovely pig fellows. And I always said to myself, if I ever did a Star Wars comic, I would call it the Vox Box Podcast. And so I finally got around to that. That is exactly what I did.
That answers so many questions.
It does. Yeah, when did you start the VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast?
It was about the middle of nearly a year ago now. And of course, at the time, everyone was getting very excited about The Force Awakens, and I was able to get access to the comics legally digitally. and that really got me excited. And I read through all the old ones, and I saw all the crazy characters, Jackson, of course, and others, and just decided that I would really like to put that together. And that I do the same format in each show, in that I'm telling the story of the comic. It's not just me reading panel for panel or doing things like that. I want it's that same experience that when you were a kid and you came home and your sibling hadn't seen the movie and you were describing it to them. That's the same feel that I'm going for with VoxBox.
Oh, so it's like a storytelling podcast, basically.
Yes, I'm actually a professional storyteller for children, and I've been doing that for a very long time, along with magic, and so that really kind of combines one of my great loves is doing storytelling with one of my great fandoms, which is, of course, Star Wars.
Well, you and I have a lot in common then. I do storytelling to my puppet shows, and I do magic shows for kids.
Oh, so, wonderful! I didn't know we shared that in common. That's a wonderful thing. I've always wanted to add more puppet stuff to my show, so I'll have to talk to you about that another time.
And for every puppet show, I always try to work in the Neverland on Alderaan.
Or a Star Wars reference.
Every once in a while, I'll get someone who says, I've heard that before. And of course, we also share the same love of the vintage Marvel comics. Now, for us, I wanted to start our classic Marvel Star Wars comics because at the same time, the new Marvel comics were coming out and people were forgetting all about the old classics. So I wanted to do something to remind everyone about these really great stories that came out of the expanded universe before there was an expanded universe.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm so glad that we did, because now people they know what a hoojib is. When we're running in the Star Wars marathon, they know who Crimson Jack or Jackson is.
Right. Well, some people do. Some people. So I was going to ask you, Michael, actually, you mentioned that you were able to see these comics digitally, the classic Marvel comics. Did you read them as a kid?
I did, but they were ones that, like the X-Men, I had a subscription to, so I got every single issue that came out. But the Star Wars were this weird ones where, or at least I'm old enough that I remember getting comics at the grocery store, and they would have these weird little Marvel packs of 4 or 5 that you would buy. And so I would get these random Marvel comics, and they included Star Wars comics. And the only ones that I had the full set of were the adaptations for the movies, which is not quite the ones that I'm covering, but are very, very close.
I know you just said that you have a background in storytelling. When you were deciding on doing VoxBox for the Star Wars comics, did it take a while to really formulate your format, plus adding in the dramatic reading from special guests?
Well, that was the one big change. VoxBox is very, very similar to my original one, Vox in a Box, but the one big change was the dramatic reenactment, and that is, as your listeners, I'm so excited to tell, you two will be participating in, is that for a few panels, I have a guest read the panel as the character, and I go all in. I do the sound effects, I do the voice modulation if necessary, everything, and add all the Star Wars sound effects to just really make this one special moment. And I try to find like the most dramatic moment in that comic and make that special.
Yeah, I do love that one element. And when I first started listening to your show, I was like, dang it, I wish we had thought of that first. And you're up to, I know I just caught up last night on your shows, but I forget, was it issue 50 that you just released?
Yeah, I'm in the 50s, and wow. I think that your first guest appearance will be in the 60s. So I'm looking forward to playing those for people. My podcast comes out every single week on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, we did 61 and 62, and you sent us scripts for more, which I can't wait to do.
I'm very much looking forward to hearing those as well.
What kind of reception have you been getting on your podcast?
Well, A lot, really. And the biggest feedback that I get is people really like the dramatic reading, and they just really like these old stories. And it's not that people can't get access to them. It's just that they really have never thought about them before. And like you were saying earlier, that people have kind of forgotten about them, and that they've really enjoyed these. And I've gotten mainly whenever I've had a technical glitch, like if it didn't post right or something, suddenly I'll get a whole bunch of communications. That's the biggest way to know that you have fans.
Yeah.
But I've gotten more downloads from the Star Wars comic than I ever have from the X-Men comic, and I've gotten a lot from the X-Men. So clearly, y'all know how many Star Wars fans are out there.
Yeah, Star Wars is a big hot button word nowadays.
Yeah, a couple of dozen last we counted. And each one of your shows is roughly 14 to 17 minutes long?
Yeah, they can't. I always did that from the beginning. Is I'll make the show as long as it needs to be. I don't want to ever stretch it out, because sometimes it's just an action comic and there's just pure action. And while that's very exciting, it doesn't take very long to tell. Whereas if there's a lot of plot and twists and stuff going on, that it'll take longer. So it can be as short as 10 minutes, as long as 20 minutes. Just depends on how it goes. As I've told people before who ask, I want it to be like that, one of those little snack chip bags that you're just like, oh, that was perfect, and then you can move on.
Is there one specific character that really draws you into the classic Marvel Star Wars comics? And for everyone, it's pretty much the same answer. Just want to hear what your answer is.
Well, I mean, I really do, honestly. I love Jackson. I mean, he's just fantastic. And when he came back, and I loved your costume, Sarah. I mean, I love Jackson, and I didn't just love Jackson. I love that he showed up, and it's supposed to be like a couple of years have passed, and that that he's teamed up with I'm blanking on her name, but the lady who ran the Black Hole Gang, and it was really interesting that they came back to that character, and he wasn't just a one drop. But what I really like is that the rails are completely off, and if I have one regret, it's that at the time that I set up these recordings, I didn't know what fans y'all were of the Hoojibs, or I would have contacted you first and said, I've got a bunch of Hoojibs for you to read.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry for that, because I really love that subplot that's the planet, because it's actually kind of silly how long it takes them to leave Yavin 4. You can tell they were kind of like holding off, like, we don't know if they're going to be here or not at the next movie.
Right.
And so when they do find that planet, that was a really neat plot twist. So really, my second favorite is also the Hoojibs.
Yay! So are you Team Hoojib?
I absolutely am. Team Hoojib and Team Pliff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny for us how that just started on a whim and it just took off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it did.
There's t-shirts, there's buttons.
The Twitterverse. One crazy night.
And one of our little bunnies is named Hoojib.
Yep. Wow.
And now you say you also do the X-Men Vox Box.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've actually been doing it for 5 years.
Wow.
I just had my 250th episode come out.
Wow.
Congratulations.
And you said that one's called Fox in a Box?
Yeah, it's called Vox in a Box. And I'm sure if you search for that, you'll find it, but it's at voxboxcomics.com.
Okay.
Because at the time I was doing a web comic and I was also doing a podcast about comics. And so I was trying to kind of split the difference between the two.
I'm getting a very Dr. Seussian Fox and Socks hops on with the Vox in the box. Okay. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I gotta say you've got a great voice for podcasting. I know
thank you.
When people say something like that, it usually means don't go on camera. Like you get a good face for radio. But not here. I just mean that your voice is just very crisp and clear and very much of a broadcaster.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. And I have my background is in voice acting, and in fact, the reason that where Vox in a Box came from was I originally wanted to make a comic about a voice actor, and it mutated and became something completely different. But the idea was that it was the voice in comics, put it in comic form.
All right.
Wow. We love that you're so creative and have done something with that creativity that works for you.
Yeah. Now, you say you were a voice actor. Have you done anything we may have heard?
Not unless you live in Oklahoma City. Then you've heard me a lot. But I do actually, more pertinent to your listeners, I do birthday wishes in the voice of various characters. And two of my most popular are Darth Vader and Yoda. But I do those through the service called Fiverr, where you'll do a single service for $5. And it also has upsells and everything. And I've done just a tremendous number of those. And I know, of course, with Y'all Living Neverland, the other one that I do pretty much second to Darth Vader is Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
and
cool.
My favorite thing to do is sending a message letting a kid know that he's going to Disney World in the voice of Mickey Mouse.
Oh, well, Michael, it sounds like you might be good for our super secret silly talents.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to talk to you about that one too.
Yeah.
We had a treasure trove here with Michael. You know what? Can you give us a little sample of your Mickey Mouse?
Oh boy, I sure do like that Skywalking Through Neverland. Let's come on and run on down.
Aww.
Very nice.
That
Very
was
nice.
like Mickey talking right to us.
Now, if someone wanted to get a hold of you to get a birthday wish, how could they do that?
The easiest way would be to go to either website is Vox. For instance, you can go to voxboxcomics.com/Fiverr. That's with 2 R's. And that will take you directly to that site where you can look through all the different ones that I do. But if you also search Fiverr and put in like Darth Vader and stuff, I'm sure I'll come up.
That's Fiverr, Fiverr?
Yes, Fiverr.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then if people want to get a hold of you through social media, and where can they go to do that and to hear your many podcasts?
Well, they can certainly just search iTunes for either Vox in a Box or Vox Box Star Wars Comic Book Podcast. Either one, and they can find me through there. And both of them have a Facebook page where you can also reach me.
And
what about your Twitter? We like Twitter over here.
I do have a Twitter that's Mr. Corley, and I'm trying to use it more. So you've inspired me to use it more.
Is that
awesome?
Is that M.R. Corley or M-I-S-T-E-R?
Oh, yeah, it's spelled out MISTERCORLEY.
Okay. And then if our listeners wanted to also jump in on the fun and do a dramatic reading, how should they get a hold of you to do that?
If you want to reach me directly, you can email me at mrcorley@gmail.com, MRCORLEY@gmail.com.
Okay.
All right. Good deal.
Awesome.
All right, Michael. Well, thank you very much for your time. And we can't wait for issues number 61 and 62 because I think Sarah and I knocked it out of the park.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Shh. Just go along with it. Yes, and. Yes,
okay,
and.
okay.
All right. Then we'll get those other readings over to you as soon as we can.
I cannot wait, and I can't wait for your listeners to hear what an awesome job y'all did.
See, I told you did an awesome job.
Okay. I'll listen to you next time, maybe.
All right, Michael. Well, thank you once again, and may Jackson always be with you.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
That wraps up episode 120 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We would like to thank Will Kelly and Lem Filia from the Inside Infinity podcast.
Michael Corley from VoxBox Star Wars Comic Book Podcast.
And, of course, Rob Dellinger for composing our jingles.
Now, once again, everyone, we want to direct you toward RetroZap.com, where you can find just so many great podcasts covering everything.
Yeah, with a heavy dose of nostalgia.
Nostalgia and pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Tavano does a great Game of Thrones recap. Jedi Schwa and Shaz Bazaar do a great Techno Retro Dads podcast.
Yep, we have Blobba the Hutt on Star Wars, and one of them lives in Ireland, so it's an interesting take on that. And they're doing a lot of filming there.
Of episode 8?
Yeah. So he's got some insider information there. And of course, on RetroZap.com, there is Talking Apes TV.
And this coming week, we're going to be talking to Ken Mills and Adam O'Brien. So it'll be a really fun discussion that takes a tangential
Oh boy.
Sidestep from reviewing the Return to the Planet of the Apes cartoon series.
A tangential sidestep?
A tangential sidestep.
I think that's like saying the same thing.
It is. It's very
Twice.
redundant.
All right. Well, Skywalkers, this week, as this podcast comes out, our t-shirts are on sale at TeePublic for $14 or a little more each. So please head over to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on that TeePublic link, and you will be able to get some awesome designs, including our BB-8 designs, our Skywalker of the Week designs, and our classic logo design. More designs coming your way soon with my fun Adobe Creative Stylist, my Wacom Creative Stylist Intuos pen.
Are you taking us on a tangential conversation?
Yes, I am. As my stylist, I'm excited.
I'm excited. I said it right finally.
I'm going to make a picture of a Pegasus now. All right. Well, we also have links on Skywalking Through Neverland to Her Universe. So if you decide you want some Her Universe items, please head to Skywalking Through Neverland first.
And if people want to reach out to us on social media?
We are there all the time. So please head to @SkywalkingPod on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and I'll keep saying Snapchat, even though I'm not using it, but who knows, maybe I'll pick it up. And on Facebook, we have our awesome Facebook group. So please search Skywalking Through Neverland. You'll find us, and you'll get to know a little more about other people who listen to our show as well. And it's a really great discussion group with lots of people. In fact, people who are heading to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, they'll like post there and say, hey, anyone want to meet up? So you can actually meet some Skywalkers at the parks.
And if you haven't already, please review us on iTunes, because the more you review us, the higher in the queue we get for Star Wars and Disney podcasts.
Yes, and get other people to subscribe, because that's the best way for our podcast to be seen and noticed.
Looking to get to that next level, and it's up to you, Skywalker, so please help. Help us, Skywalkers. You're our only hope.
Yes. And we had some awesome reviews lately, so thank you so much for sending in those reviews. And right now, of course, we are on the Google Play Music app on your Android phone. So if you are an Android user, head there, and it gives you pop-up notifications. I don't have an Android phone, but we have some Skywalkers who do, and they really like it, because it pops up a notification when a new episode is available and all this cool stuff. And also, if you're on Stitcher, please migrate to Google Play Music, because Stitcher does not have the best audio quality, and we really want you to hear this show as it was intended with our great audio quality.
And we want you guys to hear me pronounce tangential the way it's supposed to be.
Yet again.
All right, with that, is there anything more that needs to be said?
Should we take a tangential trip to Alderaan?
No.
Why not?
Because we should always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan. Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. May 10th, 2016. This was a day that will live on in... Did I say that? May 10th, 2016. Bleh. All right, so when I put this out now, some of our... let me start over.
Also, Disney Infinity...
Thank you, guys, and keep playing.
And never land on Alderaan.
To infinity and beyond. And never give up on the dream.
That was awesome.
Never land on Alderaan.
So please tell everyone where they... Why can't I say that?
Things
we want to share. Was I supposed to join you for that?
Yeah, that was It was unsolicited. I thought you would just pick it up, and you did.
Ooh.
She took the Hasbro lightsaber and took it apart and used all these other blab after throwing a tiny Kylo temp. Now, you know what? Tell us about your fandom and your VoxBox Star Wars Marvel, your VoxBox Star Wars comic book podcast.
It's the podcast that dares you to say it correctly.